Welcome to SmithWeekly Discussions, an occasional program for our members of SmithWeekly Research. Please note this program is a private discussion and everything contained herein is for entertainment and educational purposes only. With that, we hope you're in a comfortable position along with your favorite beverage to enjoy the discussion. We remind our audience to examine our show notes attached to each of our shows to better understand how our program functions. Before we get into our discussion today, we want to say thanks for questions coming from our audience at Smith Weekly, including Dave V, Andy S, Kevin B, and Cindy W. On the program today, we've got a new guest joining us for the first time. Mr. Scott Hicks is on the podcast. Scott is the Chief Executive Officer of PRYM Mining, a Sinaloa, Mexico-focused gold-silver project developer, advancing the Los Reyes project, which is in its preliminary economic assessment phase. PRYM Mining is pending acquisition by Torex Gold to create a leading diversified Americas-focused precious metals company centered around Mexico. PRYM Mining is listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange under the symbol PRYM and also on the US OTC markets under the symbol PRMNF. Mr. Hicks, welcome to Smith Weekly Discussion.
Thanks for having me, Andrew.
Yeah, Scott, it's great to have you on, and definitely been following PRYM Mining for some time over here. You are new to the podcast. As such, why don't we start off here by you giving us your background and experience in the junior natural resource sector?
Yeah, great. Well, again, thanks for having me, and a pleasure to join the podcast today. So, by way of background, very briefly, I am a mining engineer. Started my career in management consulting, looking at strategy, looking at cost reduction, contract negotiation, all kinds of exciting things, and then joined Inco. A little bit of experience in base metals, lived overseas, got some operational experience in Indonesia before coming back and joining Kinross Gold. At Kinross, I was responsible for project evaluation, geology, mine planning, internal and external valuation, so projects, M&A, and what I was really passionate about there was project optimization. So there's a number of great ore bodies, a number of high potential projects out there. How do we maximize the value from those? And I think part of what makes me so passionate about that part of project development is the fact that I'm also a chartered financial analyst. So I really love digging into both the technical and the economics. And that's why PRYM was such a good first step into the junior space for me. Was the deposit Los Reyes is excellent, and I'm sure it will support an excellent project, which I'm sure we'll get into shortly here.
Thank you for walking through your background here, and definitely it's an interesting setup that PRYM Mining has got itself into and the progress as well, and appreciate you going through your background. And it's good to have a number of different areas of expertise in this sector as you do. How are you looking at the gold and silver markets today, Scott? What are your thoughts? How do you look at the market?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people looking at the market, some great minds. So I won't reiterate a lot of what they see or forecast. But one thing that I've heard a little bit is, well, is this gold at the peak? People did not picture gold to be at $3,500, $3,600, $3,700 per ounce. And realistically, I don't think it is the peak. I think there's a lot of potential still for increase when you look at not just risk and fear. I think that's a negative trade on gold, but I think the positive trade, if you will, on gold is what's happening with monetary supply and people looking for a way to protect against inflation that a lot of people are forecasting. Central banks are buyers. I think there's still a lot of other buyers who are just starting to get into the market. And I think silver is lagging a little bit on that as well. So the Los Reyes deposit is about 70% gold, 30% silver. So there's a meaningful silver component to it. So yeah, I'm a fan of both of those commodities, and I think there's room to run still. I don't think this is the top.
Fully agreed there, and for a number of reasons. While the market can be quite difficult sometimes and crash events or significant sell-off events, this is a great place to be in. It's anti-inflationary, anti-dilutive as well. So it's a great place to be, whether you're in physical and also jumping into leverage with some of the equities like PRYM Mining, which has certainly shown some leverage here. Good that you guys are mixed on gold and silver. Obviously, silver is a key one here because we think that silver probably has some pretty good catch up to happen in the coming years as well. So great information there.
Just to jump on top of that as well, I mean, I was obviously just discussing the commodity. You talked about the leverage through equity. I think there is still room when you look at the PNAV multiple of a lot of juniors and even some of the mid-tier companies. I don't think seniors are where they ought to be yet, but on a relative basis, I think there's a lot of room to run in value expansion, multiple expansion of juniors and mid-tiers, both from a scarcity point of view. There aren't a lot of great projects out there, but also just the catch up.
Agreed on all of those fronts, Scott. Thank you for that. That's excellent. Well, why don't we get into PRYM Mining here? The company is subject to a takeover bid by Torex in an all-share transaction. Tell the audience about that transaction, the details, and expected closing.
The transaction has been a long time in the works. I met the Torex team almost 2 years ago to the date. Some of them I had known from past lives, let's say, and they ran a very thorough process. They looked at a number of different of companies in different stages in terms of their life from production through to development. They ran a very detailed process, came up with a short list, and then did a very rigorous technical dive into that short list. And I think it's pretty exciting for the team at PRYM and certainly validates a lot of what we had been saying. Our management team is largely based out of or gained experience through the senior gold sector. So Indy Gopinathan on the executive was most recently with I'm Gold. Scott Smith, our head of exploration, has worked with Newmont in tech, and Patrick Lowry, our resource modeler. I worked with quite a bit at Kinross. We did take a different perspective. We took a conservative perspective with Pierre Lassonde's backing as our major shareholder. We knew that we would be capable of developing this asset, so we wanted to treat it right from the very beginning. And it's great that Torex has recognized the quality of work and the technical de-risking that we've done, not just on the resource and exploration side, but also on metallurgy and even preliminary mine plan optimization. So long time coming, a lot of good diligence, a couple of site visits, and then several months ago, Jody Kuzenko and I, who I've got a tremendous amount of respect for, started to actually sit down and figure out what a transaction might look like and led us to where we are today.
It's a very interesting project. There's lots left to be had here. Obviously, Torex will continue to take that forward once this transaction is completed. Why don't we just talk briefly about the project? I think there's a few key things here to point out. You mentioned metallurgy, some of the work that's being done there to continue to de-risk and move this down the development pathway. Talk about the project status as it stands today. You guys have appointed Azenco to lead the preliminary economic assessment work, and you guys are also working towards current resource work and expansion. Talk a little bit about that potential as well, Scott.
Yeah, so certainly first and foremost, the X potential and the resource base that the Los Reyes project has are very exciting and part of what attracted me to PRYM Mining in the first place. In April of 2020, a resource was put out. It envisioned heap leach and open pit only, with some tremendous exploration success, with grades to the tune of ounce per ton gold, kilogram, 2 kilograms per ton silver. It became very clear that this was not just a cheap and cheerful heap leach project. So in 2023, we doubled that initial resource and we added the mill. It was still open pit. And then in 2024, we grew that by about another 50% and we added underground. So it's been a really interesting project evolution as we move from heap leach to mill based on the high grades that we discovered, the quality of the resource, if you will, which also supported moving from really exclusively open pit to, if we were to complete the PEA, I think a number of your listeners would be pleased to see that the majority of the ounces would probably be mined from underground. A lot of good work, the geotechnical work, the geochemical domaining work, some of that work, obviously, it's very difficult to express in a 43-101, even in a PEA, but the project itself also has over 200 bottle roll tests. So the nice thing about the metallurgy in the project is it's extremely high recovery, both on the gold and the silver side. On the gold, our October 2024 resource stated a 95.6% gold recovery. So obviously every extra percent of recovery that we realize through that good geomet work, if you will, goes straight to margin. And then when you consider the low cost operating environment of Mexico, it doesn't take imagination to see this being a low capital, high margin, long mine life with substantive annual production. So it still remains a very exciting project. And that's one of the reasons we were looking to do this transaction is all share. Our shareholders still want to maintain exposure to the Los Reyes project.
Good stuff there, Scott. I appreciate you walking through where you guys are at on this and some of the work that's continuing to progress here. Just on the silver recoveries, talk about that as well. I do think, for folks that are on the silver side here, they want to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, and again, we don't have the PEA to prove it. So speaking in hypothetical terms here, but the silver we looked at and varied by region. So again, we had enough data that we could split the recoveries up by domains, if you will. But in general, we were looking at low to mid silver recoveries, while still being mindful of reagent consumption, grind size. So silver, as I said, was it's about 30% in situ value, so a meaningful kicker, if you will. Depending on what your silver price assumption is going in, there is potential. One could look at the project effectively as a silver project and have the silver cover all of the operating costs and overhead, and the gold at 70% is pure margin. So again, these pure precious metals ore bodies. I mean, there's a lot of potential, and with the clean, simple metallurgy, high recovery, and again, what's unique about this is there's not a lot of base metals in terms of, again, reagent consumption. It's high recovery and low cost milling. It's simple and straightforward. It's really quite beautiful.
Scott, talk a little bit about expansion. I know that's not immediately the key thing here with the transaction, but the expansion potential of the project, it has to be there, is based on what I've seen. The land tenure, you guys have a nice package there at the project. Just talk a little bit about that expansion potential.
Yeah, and we're fortunate when we look at the geology team. I mentioned Scott Smith, our head of exploration. We're incredibly fortunate to have Kerry Sparks as a technical advisor. He spent a lot of his career with Franco-Nevada. I think he's seen every precious metals deposit on Earth. So, deferring to their opinions, if you will, we see the potential for, say, 4 to 5 million gold equivalent ounces in this system. And of course, we're always looking at neighboring properties we have claimed. So we've staked but haven't yet received the license for El Rey, which is the project immediately adjacent to the east. And so there's also land position expansion potential as well. So from where we sit now to 4 to 5 million gold equivalent ounces, I think half of that expansion can come from extensions to those three main resource areas on the property that make up the bulk of the existing resource. But there is a lot of ground in between those resource trends, as well as in the northeast of the property, that just have not had its share of drilling yet. Partly because it's been so easy to continue to extend the known resource areas. So with some drilling up there, I think there's potential, again, 4 to 5 million gold equivalent ounces or higher.
This will be something that Torex will work on as they get this into production, commission, ramp up, and get moving. Certainly testing the package that you guys do have there, and that expansion work will be ongoing once it gets into cash flow production. So good information there, Scott. Appreciate that. I want to move, just for the audience who maybe wants an update or isn't familiar with Sinaloa State, Mexico. Just talk a little bit about that, broader front, both on the federal side and the state side, friendliness towards mining. We know that that's a key economic driver of natural resource development in Mexico, but just talk about the overall jurisdiction, both at the state and federal level, and how you're seeing that.
So people sometimes get lost in the micro picture current politics of the day, but it's worth noting Mexico is a very mining friendly environment. In Los Reyes area alone, there's been mining back to the 1700s. It's really in the culture, it's in the DNA in Mexico. While the previous president, AMLO, had put together a very negative open pit mining perspective, it's clear that Claudia Sheinbaum and her current administration is pivoting towards a more open pit friendly platforms themselves. And I think it's for a number of reasons. One being there's a lot of people involved in the mining sector. It's a substantial portion of their GDP, and they need it, both from an employment perspective and from a government revenue perspective. So I think of open expansion permits, mill expansion permits, greenfield mill permits, underground permits. So I would expect in the next couple of quarters, well, that would continue, but that we'd also start to see open pit mining permits come for the people who've been waiting some time through this changeover from AMLO to Claudia Sheinbaum. In general, Mexico has a lot of very experienced, very professional geologists, as well as miners and all of the supporting trades. So there are a lot of people available to support the mining industry there. And again, it's a great value, if you will. I, coming to PRYM, really had to change my view, rip up all of my benchmarks when it came to costs and capital. Mexico, we've seen a lot of success, even specifically up and down the Sierra Madre Occidental, where Los Reyes is located. A lot of very successful high return mines, and I'm confident that Los Reyes will thrive in that Mexico mining friendly environment.
Appreciate you going through that. Sinaloa is a good jurisdiction. There's a couple good ones there. There's some more troubled ones as well, and good to see you guys are in that reasonable area there. And of course, certainly Mexico, whether the easy way or hard way, we'll find out how important mining natural resource development in the country is a key economic driver. Appreciate that, Scott. On the community side, real quick, just a community alignment and community work that's been ongoing at PRYM over the years. Just talk a little bit about that partnership with local community and those efforts.
So we've got a great partnership with the local communities in our area. The nice thing about operating out of Coastala is it's a pueblo mágico, so it's a magical town, if you will. It's a big tourist destination, especially for Mexican nationals. So it's a great place for families, and most of our more senior geologists live in Coastala with their families, and so that makes us part of the community. So it is in many ways hard to separate prime mining from the communities we operate in. We hire locally. We've got a lot of helpers when we're drilling, and the community really embraces us. We also help to advocate for the community. We've done a lot of support work for the local schools, and we're also very transparent and open on our public disclosure. So we have had some security challenges, as have some of the other operators in Sinaloa with the conflict going on within the Sinaloan cartel. Even though we're not drilling at the moment, we've done a great job of supporting people and continuing to pay people and keeping an eye on a safe return to operations. And I'm a believer that social license to operate is the best. And it's the best way to move a project forward. And then also, it is great to see the benefits to the community and see that development and enrichment. The multiplier effect from this Los Reyes project going forward is going to be very beneficial to that area, as well as the employment and other opportunities will be beneficial as well to the security situation there. So mining, as you know, and I'm sure you agree, can provide a lot of opportunities to the people. And I think under Torex, we share a lot of similar values. First and foremost, the most visits we've had to the site have been from their community team. And I think they'll do right by our employees and the people in the community. They've got a great track record and a great social license to operate themselves. So I think it's a very good fit that way.
Wishing you guys a good, safe, and stable progress to the project and in the community there. That's great. Thank you for the work that you guys have been able to do there to help educate community and have them understand the importance of mining, natural resource development, job creation, and those basic things. And of course, Torex is in the country. They operate there. I'm sure they have a great setup as well and are very comfortable working in those various states within Mexico. Just shifting over here for a moment, what's next for you and the team? Just talk a little bit about this. Is the plan post transaction? Some of you guys will stay with Torex. What exactly is your plans going forward? And talk just a little bit about that.
The nice thing is for the team in Mexico, Torex, with their recent acquisition of Reyna, I know that they are looking for strong geologists to join. And so I know that the people are a key asset to PRYM, and they are looking to, as much as possible, to be confirmed still. Certainly not my place to say, but I know that they are looking to onboard our geology team. They work very well together. They are key to a lot of our exploration success. And so between our property and the Reyna Silver properties, I think they will provide a lot of contribution. As for the management team, to be determined still, but Jody and the team there are strong, and again, I know that they will be looking after this asset very well.
Scott, short of anything else you want to add, I want to extend my congratulations on the transaction to you and the team. Well done. To wrap up and give the audience the proposition for owning Prime Mining and also for existing shareholders of Prime Mining to be in favor, of the new platform that the resulting Torex Gold will provide. Also to note that PRYM Mining has a market capitalization of about 500 million Canadian dollars, and Torex Gold here with a market capitalization of about 4.3 billion Canadian dollars. Why should the resulting company be considered within the institutional, family office, and retail investors' portfolio at this stage?
Yeah, so I think looking at it from a PRYM Mining shareholder perspective, and we have sent out our information circular. We have our shareholder vote on September 29th, and this has been unanimously approved by our board, and with voting support agreements from all of management and board as well, in addition to Pierre Lassonde. Some of the reasons that we as PRYM Mining shareholders ourselves are so excited about this deal is a couple things. First, but not foremost, is an immediate premium. So Torex certainly recognizes the incremental value that this project can bring and the scarcity of projects like this. So they did offer a good upfront premium. It was at the time of announcement, it was a 32.4% premium to our 30-day V. That is a good return to shareholders there. But we are all focused on the long-term potential of Los Reyes, but also the long-term potential of Torex. And so what's key for PRYM shareholders going forward is that this is an all-share deal. So on a fully diluted basis, we'll have a 10.7% ownership. As you said, it's worth well over $4 billion Canadian. That gets a lot more eyes on the combined company. It provides liquidity. It provides better access to capital markets. But that 10.7% ownership by PRYM shareholders gets us great exposure to the high cash flows that are starting to be developed from the Media Luna project. So the Morelos property in general, Jody and the team have done an excellent job building it, operating it, expanding it. It is going to produce a significant amount of cash flow going forward that would make a project like Los Reyes very easily funded internally, while giving PRYM shareholders exposure to those positive cash flows in the meantime. So immediate potential for capital return to PRYM shareholders. You'd mentioned it, they operate in country. So when you look at their engineering and project construction teams, they've proven that they can execute a project like this. So they will do a fantastic job, in my opinion, executing on Los Reyes once they've done exploration and they've done their own optimization work as well. But it de-risks, in my opinion, greatly de-risks construction. It certainly de-risks project financing. And again, PRYM shareholders, through its meaningful ownership of the combined company, will still have exposure to that as well. And good exploration upside potential at their existing property now too. So a lot of upside potential all around, and good synergies through de-risking and project development.
Yeah, good premium up front there. And then, of course, thanks to some of the market conditions out there, this has ran even further. So great exit here as well. And combined, moving into a bigger company and continuing essentially that upside with the construction of this project coming down the pipe, and then also existing operations plus expansion and more things to come there. So appreciate that. Scott, for folks seeking further information, how can they reach the company?
We've got a lot of information on our website. The email address on there, info@primeminingcorp.ca, is a great way to reach out to us. We are a small team. We will respond to your email as quickly as possible. We look forward to hearing from people. Certainly open to hearing people's feedback on the acquisition and going forward here.
Scott, well, thank you for coming on to tell us about PRYM Mining. Congratulations once again on the transaction with Torex, and we look forward to successfully developing out the Los Reyes project, and as well, hoping to have Torex come back in the future to update. Thank you.
Thank you very much.